All right, so so we're all sitting here in this gallery, and we're surrounded by the soft landing show, and the show is focusing on mixed media works. And so my next question is around curating mixed media works, which I know all of us have a lot of experience doing. So there are a lot of blurred lines between art and real life when it comes to the utilization of assemblage and other mixed media works, and material choice becomes a huge factor and a point of emphasis. And I think especially in works like this, we're able to really reinterpret and recontextualize a lot of these objects and things of that nature. So my question. And Kai, I'd like you to start because you also create mixed media works. So my question is, can you all talk about showcasing mixed media works, and how has showing that medium in particular been important in your curatorial practice?
Absolutely. So the biggest thing that I think immediately comes to the forefront that we've all referenced in some way or another is accessibility. Especially since more artists are coming off of the wall completely with their mixed media works, whether it be creating mixed media paintings that are on chairs, even similar to Tom Miller from several decades ago. For me, even that's kind of why I brought up space being such an important thing to me as a curator. Accessibility of space, whether that be, do they charge at the door for people to come in? How often are they open, etc. That was especially important when I was on the curatorial committee at a place like UB Blake even, right? Where we received several mixed media and assemblage works. So making sure that most of them were, whether it be wheelchair accessible, whether it be accessible to someone that was 5 or somebody that was coming to church on Sundays there. To me that it comes past like the exhibition text even at times, right? It's how we're laying out the show, right? So it's kind of really changed the way that I even hang shows at this point, depending on who's showing.
Yeah, I was just thinking because I'd actually never thought about that, but I think the approach that I'm taking usually when I'm doing a show that has different kind of mixed media is thinking about how the flow works between artists, so that each piece kind of has enough room to shine. And if you're doing that in a different place that's like not a white wall gallery, like when we were in Area 405, I had to figure out how to make sculpture make sense, like small, delicate sculpture make sense in a dark warehouse, where there's a bunch of machine stuff like still embedded in the walls. So that's usually how I'm thinking about it as in terms of the flow. But it was also like when we were asking that question, I was thinking about one of the first mixed media artists that made me kind of fall into the art thing, like Faith Ringgold and also Lee Bontekoe were like two vastly different things, but like Lee Bontekoe's work is mixed media in a way that you're not even thinking about, because she's using so many different weird things and it's like scary. And Faith Ringgold is also doing it in a way you're not thinking about, but just because it's so delicate. So anytime you would have art on either spectrum that is mixed media, figuring out how that works, especially in a group show with other pieces.
Okay, so my experience and kind of my philosophy around mixed media comes from my running a commercial art gallery for 4 years in Baltimore. And what I realized in that very white space is that people would come in and expect paintings, images of photographs on the wall. And when they would encounter mixed media or even sculptural works, they would pause for a bit and they would spend more time with them. So for me, mixed media, I see mixed media as the challenge to the neutrality of the traditional non-white the white cube space by bringing what I call the textures of the real world. So, found objects, personal artifacts, film or video documentation that kind of tie art to the lived experience, because I'm really interested in audiences that aren't art audiences. So for example, I'm a first generation college student, graduate in my family, very blue collar family. They know nothing, they don't understand what I tell them about what I do at all. And so when I am putting together shows and thinking about how they're being presented, I'm thinking about how folks who would be very uncomfortable traditionally in an art gallery would come in. And actually in my gallery, we had a lot of non-gallery people come in, especially, we were in Mount Vernon, so we had a large number of, the homeless population who would come in, and I would just sit and chat with it. We had a large percentage of people who visited us, but kind of the people who would just kind of be in the public space frequently. And we would just talk about everything. And so I'm really interested in nurturing and kind of having those conversations because, are they going to buy a work of art? Probably not. But who knows, several individuals came to, personal realizations at the time. Do I know if that had a greater impact on their life? No. But being in that space and making that connection in that moment was not with the paintings, but with the mixed media works. That was often the more powerful, especially for non-art folks. So that's what I'm really interested in tapping into.
Yeah, the one thing about a lot of mixed media works are, a lot of them can use, like I was saying, like using recognizable, everyday objects or recognizable images, but it's also, in a lot of ways, it can be low barrier to entry. It's lightweight, portable, with assemblage, you pick up things from wherever, scrap yards, etc. So I think that one common theme that that I was hearing is kind of focusing around accessibility and viewer experience and viewer engagement, which I think mixed media has a very unique. It's uniquely positioned to do that, and I think being able to see each of you all's work, being able to do that across different shows very well.